Welcome again to another edition of the Dave in the City Sports Podcast. A big show tonight to cover a big topic.
Your show will go live in 5
Stand by.
seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
Dave in the City doesn't put the NHL on ice. Listen for all the hockey talk here on Locks of the Week Radio.
Coast to coast, internet sports talk, Locks of the Week.
Doc Rivers continues to time and time again not get it when it comes to getting... Oh! Let him play!
How Connecticut are you? Are you wearing khakis and a polo?
Regarding Lynch, who cares? What was he going to do today? Was he going to address each reporter? Oh, thank you for the question.
Cap ran through the entire Yankee lineup, but he left out one guy, and his name is Alex Rodriguez.
I like to try and forget about him because.
From Los Angeles, this is Dave in the City, brought to you by Locks of the Week Radio. Now, here's Dave Medina.
Good evening, sports fans, and a pleasure to have you here for the big Thursday special show. Good evening. A big moment for the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals after a gutty win last night. Not the prettiest of games, but a win nonetheless, coming through and overcoming some potential serious injuries to Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. And your Warriors up there for the Bay Area, now representing the Western Conference in this year's NBA Finals. We are very proud of the Warriors. Even as Laker fans, we would have rooted for them anyway if they were playing the Clippers. This is a true story. I've talked to a couple Laker fans. They would have rooted for the Warriors in this series. But it was against Houston instead because of the Clipper meltdown. That's not really a big point here. The point is that Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and a host of other guys, Draymond Green, Harrison Barnes, Sean Livingston, and many others, Marcus Speets, a bunch of guys, a deep roster, a good coach, Steve Kerr, a tremendous regular season. They had the 1 seed in the NBA, and if I remember correctly, that was the best record overall. A great playoff run, some dominant series, and even one that was maybe a little less dominant, but they really pulled away at the end against Memphis. And it's not their fault they played the Rockets, an incomplete team from my point of view. It's not their fault. They took care of business, and really the one thing you had to look for in Game 4, where they were up 3-0 going to Houston, was injuries. And unfortunately it happened, but it was not bad enough to keep Curry out of competition for Game 5 back at Oracle Arena in the East Bay. Well, there was in Oakland last night. These teams going at it. They were down early. Down 8 points were the Warriors. But that slick three-point shooting by Steph Curry and a big night by Klay Thompson gets the Splash Brothers towards their first NBA Finals berth since 1975. What a big moment for the Bay Area. Already enjoying a lot of success in sports, no doubt, but for the Warriors, this is new territory. They're going to the NBA Finals for the first time in my life, for the first time in your life, for the first time in anybody's lives. It's a big day. It's a big day for fans of basketball up north, and there are many. It's a very big place for basketball, and it is huge up north in California. So just a tremendous night for the Golden State Warriors in the show. And just great to see. I love seeing new teams in the NBA Finals. If they can't be the Lakers, why not have it be a different team? Why not have it be a team that's really worked their way towards it? They've been getting closer and closer and closer to the NBA Finals. And this year, they had a little bit of a change at the top. Last year, they were coached by Mark Jackson. He goes back to the ESPN booth after being dumped by the Warriors. Creative differences between he and the management of the team, the ownership group. They go after Steve Kerr. But I have to admit, a lot of the defensive principles and the foundation and the early success of this Warriors group started with Mark Jackson. So you can't completely discount him from from this story. But Steve Kerr certainly made a big play. He made great adjustments, and those adjustments are far-reaching. They go into every series. He has been terrific. He has kept the team focused. He has them playing good defense. They were the number one defensive team throughout the year, and the Warriors did more of the same against Houston, who, again, they were on the shoulders of James Harden, and Harden did not come through for them in Game 5. A playoff record for this year, 13 turnovers in last night's game by himself. Double-digit turnovers for one guy is bad. And he really just blew that whole thing up. And the Warriors took advantage and started to erase the 8-point lead that the Rockets had in the first half. They go into the second half. They go up by many more points. Up by as many as... I don't remember if they were up by 20, but they were certainly up by at least 15. And they kept going, and the Rockets started to mount a furious comeback towards the end. However, they were already down by enough points where that did not really make a huge difference in the outcome of the game. And the Warriors end up victorious. Game 5 last night at Oracle, 104-90. 104-90. Just a huge moment. You can see the emotion from the Golden State Warriors, and Steph Curry, a true leader on the court in many ways. His ability to pass the ball, his incredible clutch shot-making ability in late situations during a game, and his overall shooting ability from the three-point line really puts the icing on what is truly a tremendous team. But certainly, when the topic was broached about who the MVP was between Harden and Curry, it was Curry who not only won the MVP, but carried the team and really put the team on his shoulders to get to the NBA Finals. I think the point can be made that Harden is more valuable to the Rockets than Curry would be, even in his situation, as great as he is. He may not be as valuable relative to the rest of the Warriors roster as Harden would be the Rockets roster. And at the end of the day, I think that's the way that played out. Because think about it. Harden in the games that he was great, Game 2, where he had the ball down to the last second, and the game was quite literally in his hands, and he dribbled it out of the bounds. But up until that point, he was putting together a masterpiece of a game. And that was at Oakland, Game 2. That close to winning, and they lose it by a point because he could not hang on, literally, to the ball. Game 1, similar situation. Plays very well, gets the team close within range, and although as I said last week, the Warriors had that arm reach on them, it was very fascinating to see that the Rockets did not simply roll over in many of these games. Obviously, Game 4, they dominated that one. Dwight Howard played out of his mind, and the Rockets took it in really resounding fashion. And in the first half last night, it seemed like they were doing the same thing on their way to another win, forcing a Game 6, and that would have created all sorts of complications for the Warriors. It would have created some complications for the Rockets too, as it turns out, because Dwight Howard was hit with that technical during the game. The technical was enough to put him over the cap for a number of technical fouls in the playoffs, and it would have resulted in a suspension, and he would have missed Game 6. Weird, but you just got to be smarter. And speaking of being smarter, Dwight Howard after the game, not being gracious in the least, talking about how Atlanta may have been a better team, talking about how he's still a champion. Listen, man, you can play like a champion. But to be a champion, you have to win a championship. So, Rockets fans, have fun with that. He's just going to keep annoying the hell out of all you guys for the next several years. Anyway, with that all being said, Golden State in completely new territory. But this is something that had been really in the works for 4 years. And it's a fun team to watch, an incredible offensive team, but as we've been saying, their defense certainly is a big part of it. I got to give a couple of propers to some other players on this team. Andrew Bogut needed to be there for them and step up and stay healthy during the playoffs for them to really make serious noise. And he did it. He was playing great defense, incredible blocks, rebounds. He was all over the paint. That guy was playing very well throughout the entire playoffs. And he almost, on many nights, he was the leading rebounder. As was clearly proven throughout the regular season, he was a big part of their defense. So he was big time. Harrison Barnes is the other guy that I really want to give some propers to. This guy has been in the paint. He had been good enough to start these games at the forward position. And he has had some moments where he just would go off. And especially on the defensive end, when he was playing against Memphis earlier in this playoffs, he was the adjustment. They were putting him in the box, rotating him in with Bogut, keeping Randolph from getting to the basket with regularity well enough to keep the Warriors in position to win. Harrison Barnes has been tremendous. Last night, 10 for 20 from the field, 24 points and 2 for 5 from 3 points. And really, he does it all. Another guy that does it all, Draymond Green, not quite as great, but it's still a pretty big deal. Klay Thompson has had his ups and downs, but he did come back. And this again, he had the head contusion in last night's game when Trevor Ariza was just trying to jump up for a ball, or just trying to jump up, and accidentally his knee hits Klay Thompson right in the head, and Thompson's laying on the ground for a while. He had to leave the game. He did come back, and he played a little bit. Overall, he had 22 minutes in the game, 20 points. And he needed to bounce back in some of those games, and he did. He was really good from the field, 8 for 14. So, Andre Iguodala, another guy I really want to give some propers to. Now, he had some good moments, good shots, and sometimes he would get in the mix on the defensive end. Overall, this is a team that has had contributions from almost everybody on the roster. Sean Livingston, Leandro Barbosa. David Lee, no. So I'm not even going to mention him, but he needs not be spoken. I mean, if your biggest problem is David Lee and he's barely on the end of the bench, it's not a big deal. What a team. And this team, and that's right, Ezeli was a new guy that they had put in to try to be a factor, and a factor he was. Now that, I'm not sure if it's going to last, but that was a nice calculated gamble by Steve Kerr. Well done. And again, well done for the Warriors. Really, the Clippers and the Spurs would have been their biggest threats, and they never ran into either one. And I tell you, that's really that would have been very interesting to see whether they would have overcome that. I think they would have. I think they may not have overcome the Spurs. I think they could have, I should say. I don't think they would have overcome the Spurs, but certainly you can see now that they can play with just about any team. They will now go up against the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. Kevin Love's out for the rest of the playoffs. Remember that. And so the rest of their bench is down to Tristan Thompson and Matthew Dellavedova and Iman Shumpert, who's a good defender, but he's not really he can't score. And J.R. Smith, people are talking up J.R. Smith, but as usual, he's not reliable from scoring. He's not a reliable scorer. He'll jump and chuck a lot of shots, and sometimes he'll make them, sometimes he won't make them. And if you talk about J.R. Smith during the playoffs, and now we speak about the Cleveland Cavaliers, that's been his MO the entire career of his. That's always been how he's played. He'll get some, he won't get some. But he's always chalking. And so, if you're relying on him to get you over the top, it is not going to happen. But let's look at his playoff run. He did pretty well in the last to close out this series. But again, I am interested to know whether he's going to be consistent. He did well against Atlanta. He had 17 and 18 to finish it out. So he finished strong. And he also had 28 in game one. But that doesn't speak very highly of Atlanta either. So we're going to see. We're going to see if the Warriors, with a pretty active and mobile defense, can keep him out of the picture. But it's going to be an interesting series. I think LeBron James has elevated a pretty average to below, really, to me, a below average team. And it didn't start out below average either. That's the funny part. It's not like it was like his past teams where they were never that good around him. Here, it started off as a pretty decent team with bad chemistry. Kevin Love, not into it, right? He was not fitting in at all with Cleveland. And LeBron was really doing the bulk of the work. And Kyrie Irving, as we mentioned, is a big-time player. He's making big shots in big moments. He did it on TNT in the regular season. He's doing it here in the playoffs. He's been good. Now, I haven't been as closely in touch with the Cavs as I've been with the Western Conference. The reason for that is because the West has just been the more captivating basketball. And I think you saw some real poetry in motion there. In the East, it's been a little bit more unwatchable. But I also think that you just had the sense, and I think this is why LeBron is so great. Because you can watch the Cavs and you can say with confidence that this team is good. You can feel like they got the series. Like you know, against the Bulls, once they got to Game 5, because the Bulls gave them some real problems. But once they got to Game 5, was it Game 5 or was it Game 6? Let me check. Let me just verify this. No, it was Game 6. Okay. Once they got to Game 6, you got the sense this team's got it. They got it. I mean, by the time Game 6 happened, the Bulls completely fell apart, and they had no shot. And so LeBron is so good. Sometimes he can just overwhelm you with his production and his ability to give other guys the opportunity to score. He is very, very good at pretty much running the team. And some, in particular, Jeff Van Gundy have been saying that their coach, David Blatt, the head coach of the Cleveland Cavs, doesn't get enough credit for getting this team where it is. Well, I will give him this. David Blatt took a pretty bad situation where the Cavs were fighting the Mendoza. Well, they were fighting the 500 mark, and they were under 500 for a certain portion of the season. They were losing games to the 76ers, and everybody wanted him gone. He was good enough to keep that thing under control and not let personalities get out of control and not lose the clubhouse or any of that, and get them winning again. A few trades also helped in that recovery. They received J.R. Smith. They received some other players from and got themselves into a better position. I think Tristan Thompson was in that group. And the Cavs simply just stuck to basics and let LeBron do his thing. And that got them back to where they needed to be. So I don't have a whole lot of inside knowledge of the Cavaliers, but you know that with LeBron James, you're going to have a shot because he is that good. He is an amazing player. Many have spoken his praises, and I think you don't even get the true picture for how good he is until you realize the gravity of what he's done in the last 5 years. 5 straight NBA Finals appearances with the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and some of those years, he did not have a lot of help. He didn't have Hall of Famers surrounding him like Magic. He didn't have top 50 NBA guys by his side like Michael Jordan did. He didn't have an all-time, one-of-a-kind, dominating center like Kobe did for 3 years, and then eventually had a pretty good center with Pau Gasol for the other 2. I mean, he had the benefit of Dwayne Wade being at his wing during the Miami Heat years. Chris Bosh was the unsung hero of that team too, so it's not like they had nobody, but it wasn't the same level of talent surrounding him as we saw with Larry Bird. We saw with Magic Johnson. So it's certainly a different dynamic with LeBron James. He's a big part of why they succeed. Cavs were awful last year. They made some moves. They have a number of good players. But they're in the finals this year. That turnaround is unheard of in sports. I think the only player that can truly do that is LeBron James. And now the Cavs are back in the finals. But I also think that the Cavs have gotten the benefit of a pretty weak Eastern Conference and some bad injuries and, a lot of bad breaks for other teams around them. But the Cavaliers still had to get the job done, and they did it quickly, which is key because it kept people from getting hurt. Although it didn't keep, in an ironic twist, it still didn't keep Kevin Love from getting hurt. But again, I don't know how big a blow that truly is because he wasn't fitting with the team anyway. So, there you have it. That's the way our show begins tonight. We are chatting about the Warriors. Give us a call, 424-258-9251, and we will take your call and chat about the Warriors tonight. No scheduled guests tonight. We could hear from our friend Jake Winderman in this hour, in hour number 2, or whatever we do in hour number 2. If we get to hour number 2 tonight, we also will chat about 2 very exciting NHL Game 7's. Really just impressive stuff. You've got the Blackhawks facing the Anaheim Ducks here in Southern California. You have the Tampa Bay Lightning forced into Game 7 after being at home with a chance to clinch the series and failing miserably against the New York Rangers with an unbelievably improbable third-period flurry of goals, including a hat trick by Derek No. A hat trick by Derek Brassard. There you go. Oh man, I almost blew that. I almost said step on. It was Brassard, the brass man, with the 3 goals in the game, and put it all together with King Henrik Lundqvist. Pretty good effort. Results in a 7-3 win by the Rangers. The Blackhawks also beat the Ducks the next night, 5-2 in Chicago. Not a terribly outrageous or unpredictable outcome. That's one where I think a lot of people expected the Blackhawks to equalize the game. So they did. And away we go. Now to Game 7 in both series. So a lot of excitement tonight, and we hope to talk with you about it. So much on the table. We're also following the spelling bee. Coach Tom Thibodeau fired from the Bulls today, excuse me. They fired from the Bulls, and the Dodgers trade Juan Uribe to the Braves for other players, and it all goes down while the Braves were in town at Dodger Stadium. So he played one of the games in the series for the Braves, and he went like 0 for 4 and he struck out. But still a remarkable career for a fan favorite and a player favorite, Juan Uribe, who was really more of the glue off the field, in the locker room, as much as he was on the field with his fielding and his batting. So, just certainly a big week in sports, and we count our way down to the NBA Finals, which start next Thursday. Very exciting to be here tonight. And I was glad to be here tonight. I mean, this is really a great show. And the first time in probably 2, maybe even 3 years I've done a complete show on my own. And I blame myself for this completely. Anytime I think, I'm going to go to open phones, I'm going to take some phone calls, it never happens. Nobody calls. So I'm going to try to do an entire podcast by myself. I do have an update from our friend the Junkman, though, as we continue to posture our program for tonight. The Junkman, Kevin on the Cape, is continuing his great food tour. He was last spotted at Wrigley Field yesterday, taking in the Cubs game. Very exciting moment. Had some good seats, too. And so his tour, his adventure continues. So we were really happy to have you on tonight. I will do my best to just get through the next few minutes. But we invite you to call us, 424-258-9251, if you have anything to say to us tonight. We'll have full recaps of the 2 Game 7s in the NHL tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. We'll have them next week at a time to be determined. We will figure out whether that's Tuesday or Thursday. Probably not Thursday. I'd be very surprised if it was Thursday, because again, the NBA Finals begin on Thursday. That's unrealistic. But we should be in good shape to continue our discussion that way. All right, let's go ahead and get to the telephones tonight. I believe this could be Jake Winderman, or it could be just a phone caller. Let's go ahead and get him on the program. Let's pop him up on the air. All right, you're on the air, sir. Welcome into the city. Who am I speaking to tonight?
Your mom, bitch.
All right, that's nice. All right, that was worthwhile. Okay, so if you do want to call about something sports related, let me know. Give us a buzz here, 424-258-9251. I'm surprised anybody's listening to the program here on Blog Talk Radio. That would certainly be one for the books. Anyway, what do we have tonight? Let us tell you a little bit about our website, www.ditcow.com. And it is the home of our program. It is where you can watch this program live. It is also where you can catch the MP3 podcast after the show. And on the site, you also get a chance to check out some other DITCOW related items. And we have a link to the DITCOW Amazon shop, which this week is featuring Father's Day items. Pretty good deal. And I'm looking at the site right now. Pretty neat ideas for Father's Day. Really good deal. And then on the t-shirt shop, we have some show related t-shirts. Really good stuff. And neat designs. We have a baseball shirt. We have a basketball shirt. There's a lot to do there. And the Amazon links are great because everybody goes to Amazon anyway. But our Amazon links kind of have nice themes to them. This week it's Father's Day. And some pretty neat ideas. You can get power tools. You can get cups. You can get t-shirts. You can get irons. You can get ties, shirts. Literally anything Father's Day related. You might even be able to get a briefcase. It's pretty good. So good deals, and we will highlight them right there at www.ditcow.com. The advantage to going there as opposed to just going to Amazon.com is principally that we get more exposure to the show by linking ourselves with Amazon. It actually is able to get in touch and promote our show and help boost our show by our partnership with them. So as an official sponsor of the DITCOW program, we're happy to have Amazon be a part of our experience, and we hope it's a part of your experience too. So www.ditcow.com. Check out all the latest. I also do some blog postings on there. A good time. I hope you're enjoying it tonight. So enjoy. That's your situation. That's the website, www.ditcow.com. All right, we'll take a quick break on the program. Much more to come. We are continuing to cover the Warriors NBA Finals appearance. Hope you're enjoying it tonight. We will talk to you. We will be back on the other side. Stay with us. This is Dave in the City. is a throwback show tonight at 7:30. Good to have you with us. We're talking about the Warriors-Cavs NBA Finals. No guests scheduled, so we will carry on and try to get this show on the road. In all honesty, expected the worst and got pretty close to it, but nonetheless, we are enjoying our time here. And I had to talk about this. I mean, this was really a great... This was a really terrific finals. If you have a tweet for us, at DITCOW is our Twitter handle. You can see it at the corner of your screen, at DITCOW. Anything you'd like to know about the program or about the NBA Finals, let us know. And hour number 2, we're not going hour number 2 tonight. In a few minutes, we will talk about the NHL Stanley Cup and see where it goes, where it is going, and how we are getting there. The Ducks trying to not blow a series. They were up 3-2 going to Chicago. It's never easy to beat the Chicago Blackhawks at home. They did not lose a game going into the series at home. The Ducks finally got the win in Game 2 of that series. Game 3 of that series in Chicago. So that was a huge win. Then Game 4 is the one everyone's going to be talking about for a long time. No, Game 2 was a game that everyone's going to be talking about for a long time, which preceded Game 3, and it went to triple overtime, and the Blackhawks won out. But also in that overtime game, that triple overtime game, there was a would-be headbutt goal by the Blackhawks that did not count because a headbutt's not allowed for a deliberate, intentional goal. It can come off the head, but you can't purposely butt it for a goal. So I didn't even know that there was a ruling on that, and there was. So the ruling is you can't do it. It cannot be intentionally hit into the goal with a hand. It can't be intentionally kicked into the goal. It can only be intentionally taken to the goal by a stick. So if it comes off the head and you try to head it like soccer, doesn't count. An interesting point. But anyway, Vermette goes on to win the game for the Blackhawks anyway, later on in that third overtime. And the Blackhawks, at that point, tied the series. The Ducks took the lead in the series in Game 3 in Chicago. Again, a bigger game than most people think. Because, number one, they were able to hold off an amazing rally by the Blackhawks at the end of it with the empty net behind them. It is a miracle that Anderson did not give up a goal in those last 2 minutes of the game. But the Ducks came away with it and had the lead in the series. Blackhawks tied up in a double overtime game, an incredible game there. Goes to Game 5. That game goes into overtime after the Blackhawks come up with 2 goals with a sixth player and the empty net behind them. And I think during some of that, they had a power play, so we had a little 6-on-4 action. That was unbelievable. I mean, coming back with 2 goals in a minute, basically, to tie the game, whereas it looked like the Ducks had it won off of Maroon's stick. That was really, really, really impressive by the Blackhawks. But they put so much effort into tying that game, by the time they got to overtime, it seemed like they were gassed because they were trying to go for a change with only about 20 seconds into the overtime, and it's turned over, and the Ducks win it only 45 seconds into overtime of Game 5. And then the Blackhawks answer with a very big rebound Game 6 win in Chicago, setting up this Game 7. Winner take all, and the Blackhawks once again with a Game 7 in their way of a Stanley Cup final. For the Ducks, who've had a tremendous year, their first year in a while without Teemu Selanne, but a very talented team nonetheless. We know the biggest names, Ryan Getzlaf and Corey Perry, and certainly a cast of very capable guys on defense and offense, including Cam Fowler, and Francois Beauchemin, and Sami Vatanen, and Patrick Maroon. I mean, these are guys that have really come through. Physical, rugged play, good plays, good. I mean, they're great with I mean, they can put on the hits, and there are some talented guys in there too. And they've had some contributions from their third line and their fourth line. The Ducks are certainly a great team. The Blackhawks seem to have a very good team too, and much of the talent, of course, is in the top two lines where you hear from. Is that guy still on the end? Is that guy still trying to call? I don't know who that is. We'll have to figure that one out later. Anyway, it's so they come in and they end up with really just defeating where the Ducks every move, and the Ducks counter and defeat the Blackhawks every move. Really, really something. I mean, it's really one of the best series we've seen in quite some time, the Blackhawks and the Ducks. So, fittingly, it ends in a Game 7. I thought that during the first couple games of the series that the Anaheim Ducks were the markedly better team. As the series has gone along, it seems like it's much more even than I realized in the beginning of the series. It's looking really good. And so, I'm really into it. I mean, Game 7 on Saturday night from Honda Center, gonna be good. And that's something I want to think of doing. I want to consider getting to the game and seeing what we have in store for both these teams. It'll be really good. It'll be really, really a lot of fun. So, on we go. Now, let us now chat about the East Final in the NHL. And this is another one that I think, as you saw the teams starting to roll towards it, you got the feeling that the Rangers are going to somehow find their way into this Game 7. The Rangers in elimination games have an unbelievable record in the playoffs. And King Henrik Lundqvist seems to have a knack for coming up big when he's down to his last bullet. And more of the same this year and this week in the East Final. I will come to you with a concession. And I concede that I felt pretty good about the Rangers winning that Game 6 in Tampa Bay. I didn't feel like the home ice was a threat. I thought that they were going to come up big somehow and win that game. And boy, oh boy, did they do it. I mean, it seemed like the most comfortable win I've seen from a Ranger team in the playoffs in years. I mean, they had a 2-goal lead, then it was a 3-goal lead, and they would give up a goal here and there, but then they would eventually win by 7-3. I mean, or was it 7-4? Excuse me. That was really, really good. I mean, I'm impressed. I mean, when you can be against the wall like that time after time and come out of it still alive, I mean, that really says that the Rangers have a lot of grit in them, and it means that guys can come up big in the biggest moments. The converse of such a thing, however, is that they don't really have the killer instinct to put away series early. Because you notice that when the Rangers win a series, quite a lot of the time, it's in 7 games or maybe 6 games. And I don't know, that might be a little disturbing too, because it's like, you have some of these games, like Game 2, where the Rangers just didn't look like they were in it at all. They were just mentally not involved in the game. And I'm like, look, if you're going to do this against some teams, that's one thing. If you end up lollygagging like that to a seriously talented team, like Ducks or the Blackhawks, you ain't going to win. I mean, you can't give up games. That's one thing I'm going to say about the Rangers from that standpoint. As great as they play when they're down in the series, they play equally as badly when they're up in a series. So it's overall not good. It's pretty shitty, to be honest with you. So anyway, we'll continue our talk about the NHL and the NBA. Let's see if we can try one more phone call. Nope. It's off the board. So we'll see if we can get someone on the telephones before we close up shop tonight. See what we're up to. I have to make sure that the ones who call in, yeah, and we're not. Let's see if we can have some fun with phone trolls tonight. So let's get this guy on the phone and see what we're up to. All right, 267 area code. You're in the city. What's going on, my friend?
Yeah, what's up? Well, I want to talk about the finals right now.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, let's chat. So, where are you calling from tonight, sir?
Calling from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Guy from Philly. All right. So, the NBA finals? This should be a good matchup. What do you have on your mind? Let's hear it.
Well, I think that Steph Curry is going to come back and just destroy everybody. But the Cavaliers do have a good defense. But what do you think's going to happen?
Well, I tell you what. I first of all, I think the amount of roster depth for the Warriors in this series is quite tremendous, and LeBron is certainly great. I think what will happen is the games will be fairly close. They're not going to be. There might be one or two blowouts in the series, but I think it's going to be a pretty close games. But in terms of the overall series, I have the Warriors winning that in 6, and it could even be 5. Eventually, the bench is going to come up short for Cleveland. I think that the 3-point shooting will end up being great. The one thing I'm interested to know is whether the defense is going to be able to hold down the many talented players on the Golden State roster. The Cleveland defense hasn't really had that much offensive firepower to defend against yet, so that's the one thing I'm very interested to check out. I'm sorry, what was your name again? I didn't catch your name the first time.
My name is John.
Hi, John. Nice to meet you. I'm Dave. Oh, okay. So, at any rate, we have some extra time now. So, what is your feeling for how these teams will approach this game defensively? I mean, and it's interesting that I'm bouncing this back at you, but it is definitely going to be a lot of fun. Now, if you were to just take a guess, how do you see which team do you think is going to win this series?
Dude, I fucking think that Warriors gonna come and just fuck shit up,
Nice.
The whole thing.
Nice. Now, are you a Warriors fan? Or you're in Philadelphia, or are you just simply appreciate like a guy that's in on big time on the Warriors because they're just so good?
I'm a Warriors fan, dude.
Oh yeah.
Warriors all the way.
Good deal. Good deal.
Steph Curry, so fucking tough.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, he is certainly a deserving candidate of the MVP. I mean, he's done a lot of things, and obviously it's proven itself out. And they really have been just tremendous this year. It would be a fitting end to their season if they won it all. And I don't see it. I see it happening too. I see it happening too. You're calling from Philadelphia, where the Warriors started their franchise history. They were in the Philadelphia Warriors way back when with Wilt Chamberlain, and now they play in Golden State. But it should be a fun time. John, good stuff. Enjoy the finals. I look forward to it as well. Thank you very much for the call.
I have one more question.
Yeah, you got it. What's up?
Yeah, about the NHL.
Yeah.
Can you fill me in that?
Well, we had the West Finals and the East Finals in the NBA already. Those are done. But there's one more game for both conferences in the NHL. So.
Dude, I'm trying to fucking talk.
Oh, on the Ducks? Okay. So that game is on Saturday in Anaheim.
You're going to interrupt me. I'm trying to talk.
All right.
Fucking talk.
All right, go ahead. This is a free show. What's up?
Yeah, well, right now, I don't feel like, I feel like the sports are over. I'm talking about bitches now. I want to get my dick wet tonight.
All right. He actually did have some sports points in there somewhere. So, kind of weird. He was like, I'm going to ask you a question, and then he just decided to do his own thing. So, thanks for the call. John had half of a good call tonight. Well, that's progress on this program. All right, we've got the phone lines open for you tonight, 424-258-9251. Give us a call. I mean, he went 3 minutes with like actual sports commentary, so that actually would, as regular callers go, be the best call we've ever had on this podcast. So I must give him a lot of credit for that. That is tremendous, and there's a reason I talk over you sometimes, because shit like that will happen, and I'm ready for you this time, clowns. So good time. But half of your call was good, John, so good for you. 424-258-9251 if you want to chat with us tonight. I think we'll go about another 14 minutes here on the program. This has really been interesting. Again, going back to the NHL, 2 finals coming up. Really a good representation of the league. And a situation where, as our friend John in Connecticut said, any of these 4 teams could win it. That is pretty remarkable. And I mean, any of these 4 teams could win could win in their respective conference finals. And I think it's even enough where you could even make the case that any of the 4 teams, including the Tampa Bay Lightning and Stamkos and Johnson and that's just and a pretty talented team in their own right, just not as heralded as the other 3 because they are in Tampa Bay, basically, can be a tough out. And Ben Bishop has had some very good saves during this entire playoff run. Not the other night, but he has for the most part. So that was a wild time for the Tampa Bay Lightning. It was interesting though, because the Lightning really had the Rangers looking just completely hideous in some of those games, including the Game 5 at the Garden, which really did take a lot of people by surprise, but the team speed and the odd man rushes were on the Tampa Bay side that night. This Game 7 is going to be interesting. And you know what? When this actually relates to the West Final too. Did you notice that in the first period of the Chicago-Anaheim game last night? Was it last night? No. It was 2 nights. It was... No, I think it was last night. And from Chicago. So in Game 6 last night, that first period was pretty tight. Guys did not want to make mistakes. It was slow. There was not nearly the amount of intensity or aggressiveness on either side, on either team's offense. The guys were just kind of hanging on to the puck in that first period. So that was an interesting watch. I thought, gosh, this could be a preview of Game 7, because if the Blackhawks win this game, is it just going to be equally as tight? Well, that did not happen, because in the second period, Chicago took off, and then the Ducks started coming back, and they were throwing goals at them. And I remember towards the end of the second period, they got a goal. And as they started the third period, they got a goal. And it was a 1-goal game. And it got a little quiet in Chicago. It got quiet in the first period, and it got quiet in the third period too. And I thought, that's interesting. So, both teams have shown really great feats of confidence, and they've shown moments where they were downright tentative too. The same thing applies here in the East Final. And for Game 7, I think both Tampa Bay and New York are both going to probably come out of that thing really, really tentative. Period 1. Because every single play counts. I think it's probably going to be like a 1-0 game if you think about it. Anything can happen in a Game 7. There have been a lot of notable Game 7s in all sports. And sometimes Game 7 can be just a downright blowout, as we saw in the semifinal round last year when the Kings blew away the Ducks at Honda Center. This time around, I don't see blowouts in either series, especially the Ducks-Blackhawks series, but who knows? I am thinking ahead a bit with Chicago, and I'm wondering if the Blackhawks have relied a little too much on their top 2 lines. But last night seemed to take some of that concern away, because we saw some goals from guys we haven't heard from in a while, like Marian and Hossa. That was big time. And Saad has been a big factor in this particular series. Brandon Saad, or Andrew Shaw as well. Both guys really having big moments in this series. But still, I think most of the scoring, as it seems to be the case in every Blackhawks playoff series of the last 5 years, has been carried by Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane. And both guys usually in the mix when it comes to a power play goal. Naturally, that's a sensible point. So, in Game 7, I think it usually comes down to the unsung heroes. Who will they be? There's no way that's going to be a fun one to keep track of. So, I also want to mention, everybody, it is National Hamburger Day. I want to hope you guys go out and get a hamburger yourselves tonight. And I made one on the grill, just right here here at home, and boy was it good. I just take some 80% lean ground beef. I make my own patties. I put my own seasoning. I start my own stove. And, man, it was pretty good. So, it's just that simple. Or, if you are more of the adventurous type and want to go out for a burger, there are some burgers out there just about everywhere that you can think of. Boy, what a way to close the show. But, are my favorites, I mentioned it to all my friends tonight. I think my favorite hamburger is right by me. The Father's Office Burger, which is around the corner from where we are here in our studios. And Five Guys is a big one. In-N-Out's a big one. Pie and Burger is a huge one. I love Pie and Burger. And the Apple Pan, all really good hamburgers. So, wherever you are, it's still National Hamburger Day. Take advantage. Go out and get a burger. If it's Wendy's or McDonald's or Carl's Jr., or if it's Burger King, there's a diamond in every rough. Go get a burger tonight. Unless you're a vegan, then go get a soy burger. Or if you just rather have a chicken burger, then get a chicken burger. But get a burger. It's a good day for a burger if you're into that sort of thing. So, happy National Hamburger Day to all of you. Let's continue our topic tonight. Let's continue our topic tonight. The theme of the program tonight, this day, is the Golden State Warriors. And, are they championship bound? From my point of view, I think they got it. But the thing you always underestimate, and we're going to do it again, we're going to underestimate LeBron's ability to come up huge in a series. So, I think they could win in 5. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. But every great team to win a championship, there are some exceptions, but most of the time, the team that wins the NBA title has at least 3 or 4 guys playing at the top of their game. The Warriors can get that potential from both Curry, Thompson, Barnes, and Curry, Thompson, Barnes, or Barbosa. All these guys can be big factors. I think in this series, it's probably looking like it's going to be Barnes, Thompson, Curry, and if there's a fourth guy, it would be Andrew Bogut because of what he means to the defensive end of the floor. That is really going to be one to remember. So, if you're wondering how close will the Warriors be to another title in their first in 40 years, I think it's like this close. It's about an inch away. And it's going to take, they got to all be on their game. They got to all shoot. They got to all be on the same page. I think most importantly, the Warriors have got to just be consistent defensively. I'm wondering, from my personal perspective, are they going to put guys on LeBron? Are they going to force the defense towards LeBron and put extra guys on him? Or are they going to try to let LeBron just get his points and try to keep everybody else out of the game? See, you could go either way. You really could. And LeBron can only score so many points. the 50-point games are not common. So I'm very, very excited to see how that's going to play out. And Steve Kerr knows the league so well. I think if I were to do some more research, I could figure out which way he goes. But I think you could just let LeBron have his points and then just keep everybody else out of it. But then, sometimes that can be dangerous. I think whatever happens, Kerr will recognize if the strategy doesn't work and adjust. But I think keeping the Cavs to an outside shooting team, just to put it in even more basic terms, would be an ideal situation. And I think that might be what they do. Because, I think if you think about the front court of the Cavs, I wouldn't say it's a really enormous front court. I mean, you don't have any guys in there that are you don't have any guys in there that are huge bodies. I think their centers, Timofey Mozgov, and we mentioned Tristan Thompson, and then back of them is Kendrick Perkins, who's a stiff at this point, and Brendan Haywood, again a stiff. So those are the centers. At forward, you're looking at James Jones, who you may remember from the Heat because he was on the Heat with LeBron for a few years, and James himself, of course, at small forward. That's about it. So, not really a threatening front court. Granted, not a hugely threatening front court from the Golden State side either, but they do have guys that can make baskets. That's the difference. And you got Spates that can make a basket. You have Barbosa that can make a basket. You have Bogut that can make a basket if you post him up. And who else? And yeah, that guy whose name I cannot pronounce right off the top. Isael is another one that can make a basket. So it is an interesting. Oh, Draymond Green, of course. Yeah, Draymond Green can make a basket. All these guys have the ability to make shots, and that's just a whole dimension that I don't know if Cleveland's prepared for. That's the other end. So that's the game on the other side of the court. We are in for some fun tonight. So we'll give you 2 more minutes to give us a phone call, 424-258-9251. We'll deal with you guys as best we can as we continue our way through the show. But overall, this will be a fun time. Good NBA Finals coming up. We will recap the particulars next week. We will also talk about the Rangers and the Blackhawks, whether they can take their Game 7s and advance to the Stanley Cup Final. Or will it be the Ducks or the Lightning coming out of their respective conferences? And I'm pretty sure most of the hockey media is going to root for Rangers, Blackhawks, an original 6 matchup. 2 very, very popular teams. You've got huge legions of fans of both teams in every major city, and LA is no exception. I've gone to games watching the Kings in the playoffs, and there are tons of Blackhawk fans all over. I have been seeing this the last 2 years. So they are very popular out here. And the Rangers, when I see the Kings play the Rangers or the Ducks play the Rangers, you hear a lot of Ranger fans when the Rangers do something. So their fan support is great. It will prove to be a good series. And this is interesting. So let's say it is Blackhawks versus Rangers. You're going to see a ton of fans of the alternate team in the opposing arena. When you have the Rangers playing at Madison Square Garden, there will be many Chicago fans in the building. Probably at least, at least 5,000 minimum. I think it would be close to 10,000 even, depending on, not even at 10,000, but you might be close to about 6,000 or 7,000 Blackhawk fans in the building. And when they go back to Chicago for the middle leg of the games, there will be plenty of Ranger fans at United Center. There's so many seats there anyway, like 20,000 seats. There will be plenty of Ranger fans in there for that one. I'm guessing 5,000 easily. So there'll be fan support either way. And no differently would that be is if these same fans were to go to see Tampa Bay, or the fans of the Rangers would go to see the Ducks, you're going to hear from these guys in any building of this playoff series and its cup final. So there will be much to discuss. So we will get to it next week. We'll keep you up to date on where we are, where everything is. As for the spelling bee, which was tonight, I'm serious, the spelling bee was televised on ESPN, and let us congratulate off the top the winner of the spelling bee. And look at this. I gotta get their full names though, but the ESPN spelling bee is completed, and the kids winning in that one, spelling some incredibly tough words. Let's see about what happened. I would imagine there's a recap of this. Let's see. And we are all over the place here. Okay. But a kid by the name of Go Cool won the spelling bee for the boys' side. On the girls' side, the winner of the spelling bee was Vanya. So, a tremendous display of intelligence tonight in the spelling bee. Here in this country where a lot of guys can't spell basic words. But just terrific to see. It only looks easy, my friends. We're very happy for Go Cool. Congratulations to him and to Vanya for their respective wins. And again, I was watching some of this, and it just looked really intense. If you presented anything close to that level of spelling to any of us here listening or watching the show, it would be a disaster. We would never make it. So, very interesting. All right, so we have we can go another hour tonight. If you want to call us, 424-258-9251. Here on the show, the table is open. Let's see what you guys have up your sleeve. All right, so let's open the phones. This is gonna be bad. This is gonna be bad, but let's try it anyway. We'll go ahead and open up the telephones. 424-258-9251 here on the show. And so a light night in sports. Obviously, if the spelling bee is the biggest event of the evening in sports, there's not much going on, but it's a prelude. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, Game 7, Stanley Cup Eastern Conference Final. Saturday night, from Honda Center in Anaheim, right by Disneyland, it will be Game 7 of the Western Conference Final in the NHL. And tonight, we open the phones to you. 424-258-9251 if you want to chat with us tonight. And so, we look forward to your call. If you are out there, give us a call. We mean that. So, maybe when we take one more break and see if anybody else wants to come in and make something of the second hour. So we'll do that. We'll take a break, let you know what we're up to after the fact. We'll be back. This is Dave in the City.
City.
All right, we're back at it. Open phones tonight on the program. 424-258-9251. We've got the open phones. Look at this. I see that my friend, I think this is Tommy on the phone. Let's double check. 908 area code, you're in the city. What can I do for you tonight?
Hey, Dad.
Hello, who am I speaking to tonight? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Dave, it's Vinny, man. I'm from the Bronx, man.
All right.
How you doing?
I'm fine. What can I do for you, sir?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Hey, so, listen, I was enjoying your show. I went out for some pizza tonight, man, and enjoyed it, but then I got some Zeppeli for dessert. Are you familiar with Zeppeli? You've been in New York, right?
You sound like you have a fake accent. Where are you really calling from?
No, I'm calling from New York, man. I'm from the Bronx.
All right.
This is Vinny.
Well,
So
every part of that sounds fake, but carry on. Go ahead.
Anyway, so you know the Zeppeli where they put the powdered sugar on top of the donut?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that good, so I had to go out and get some ice cream afterwards. But
Oh, boy.
anyway, the reason I called was I wanted to talk about...
Yeah. Why don't we get back to you in a little bit? 848 area code. You're in the city. What can I do for you tonight? What's your name and where are you calling from?
I have had enough of Stephen Drew.
Gary?
Enough is enough. How you doing tonight, Dave?
I'm fine. This is Jerry and Piscataway on the phone, rejoining us here on the telephone, and I am very glad you called. Let us talk. You have now 48 minutes to do any kind of rant you want. You have so much latitude. I am very excited to hear what you've got for us tonight. It sounds like it's not a good night for your boys, the Yankees.
No, they're up 2-0. CC
Okay.
gets out of trouble.
Okay.
Last inning because Carlos Beltran, looked like a 40-year-old beer league right fielder letting yet another ball drop in front of him.
Oh boy.
And the bases got loaded up, and CC, punched out the next two. So he pitched in and out of trouble. And then Brian McCann, who I have absolutely killed for his road split. And he was hitting, I think, 188 on the road before today. And then he hits a home run in one of the earlier innings, maybe probably the first inning, and then just had the RBI single, which was reviewed because A-Rod avoided the tag at home and kind of reached back and touched home plate. And the umpire said he didn't touch home plate, called him out. A-Rod told Girardi to challenge. He was safe. So then Stephen Drew comes up with a runner on third and one out, and he hits a lazy pop fly to the shortstop. But he had bat before, he hit a lazy pop fly to the second baseman. So maybe he's going to hit a lazy pop fly to the third baseman his next at bat.
Mm-hmm.
God, he's awful, Dave. I can't watch him anymore.
You sound
Dave,
quite.
I can't watch him. I mean, the guy's hit. Dave, this is my thing with Stephen Drew. It's one
Right.
thing if he had, as last year he, even if he hit, 250, 260, played good defense, and the Yankees were waiting for him to come around. Like, he hit 150 with the Yankees last year. He's hitting 160 this year. Enough is enough. They play him every fucking night. They brought up the kid Perella, and they don't let him see the field. They play Didi and Drew every night, and both of them are automatic outs. I mean, out after out after out. The Yankee bottom of the lineup tonight looks absolutely atrocious. Granted, they're up 2-0, but they have Chris Young. Heathcott, unfortunately. The thing with Heathcott, Dave, he, in the minors, he's supposed to be a talented kid. He can never stay healthy. On this call to the big leagues, he's swinging a pretty good bat, and then he hurts his squad. It's just like, you can't catch a break. Oh, he just can't catch a break. So the bottom of the lineup's not looking too good tonight, but hopefully CC in the bullpen can hold a lead, and they can hopefully bring this one home.
Well, it sounds like you got a new target this year, Stephen Drew. And, wow. So far, so... Oh, no, wait. Is it Stephen Drew or Chase Headley? Or is it both? Man, I guess it's both.
Stephen Drew. I mean, Headley's been playing okay. I mean,
right.
It's crazy because we were talking about it that, Headley was talking about having such a good glove. And Headley actually just made a really nice barehanded play, but, the runner just beat it. He's made some plays at third that were spectacular. And then he's had some real boneheaded plays. Balls are right at him. He's botched. He's had some bad throws to first base. I think he leads the third baseman with 10 errors this year, which is surprising because, he was always thought of having a good glove. And then his bat really – it's starting to get a little better now, but early in the season I was waiting for it to come around because I always thought that he was a guy I thought could swing a pretty decent bat. And, I guess he is who he is. I mean, it's the guy we got up. But Drew's the guy who I can't stand. And I watched him last year go through like an 0 for 29 and then another long hitless streak. And now he's hitting 160 this year, Dave. He plays every day. He's hitting 160 and he plays every day. I mean, granted, I don't – the Yankees have, Rob Refsnyder in the minors who they're very reluctant to bring up because of his defense. They have Perella, who they brought up, who for some reason, I don't know why they don't give him more at-bats because our middle infield, Dave, it's like me and you being up there just hacking away. I mean, it's awful.
Mm-hmm. So defense not a strong point for the Yankees so far. And they're still up 2-0. All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that one with you and see. Really, I mean, I guess I'm not going to keep that close eye on it, but I'll look at it and see if they hang on. Let me check to see the score of the Yankee game.
2-0. I'm watching it right now.
2-0. Oh, this is a West Coast game. It's in the bottom of the fourth. Okay.
Yep.
Guess the Oakland. Wow, are you going to stay up to watch all this?
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
I never fall asleep in the ride.
You are a troop, man. You are a trooper. You're going to be up till 1:00 tonight.
I know, man. And the worst type of games. I remember a couple of years ago. Actually a while ago. I had a softball tournament on I think that was a Sunday morning, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And the Yankees were out in the West Coast on Saturday in Anaheim.
Yep.
The game went to like extra innings, and somebody got a base hit when the bases were loaded to end the game. The game went to like 2:30 in the morning, and then I'm wired. I'm watching the post game. I can't sleep. I was sleepwalking in the first couple innings of my softball tournament. I mean, the West Coast games are tough.
It is. I mean, we had a close experience with that when the Raiders hosted a game that started at like 8:30 against the Chargers. That was the closest we got to a West Coast game, and that wasn't even that late. It's 8:30. This game started at 10 for you. So I can't even imagine it, buddy. I saw it a couple times when I was on the East Coast, seeing a game that started about 10:30 or 10 o'clock. I saw a Laker game one time against the Thunder during the playoffs that may have started at 10, and that was when I was in New York. So it was a very weird experience. Yeah. So, yeah.
And that's the NBA playoff problem that I had this year, Dave. I even before, with the Warriors and the Clippers, and those games would start at 10:15, 10:30, and I remember the one game I was watching. I was half asleep, and the third quarter ended. I looked at the clock, and it was 12:40, and the fourth quarter was about to start at 12:45. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah, I hear you. I look at it on my clock, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of late. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm on the West Coast. What's this like on the East Coast? It's like, that's nutty. Like, I've seen some of these go up to 10. And certainly, yeah, it's funny. Like, even this round was getting pretty late. The Warriors game ended at roughly 8:45. So that was 11:45 on the East Coast, and
with that I can tolerate. But when the games in the playoffs would start at 10 o'clock, 10:15,
right,
and go until 1 in the morning, that's when I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I want to stay up and watch. I enjoy playoff basketball. I always love watching Steph Curry play, and it's just it's hard for me to stay up that late and watch these NBA games. Baseball,
right.
The Yankees, I'll do it because I'm so locked in I can't fall asleep. But basketball, I like watching it, but it's not. my adrenaline's not there, so I end up fading late. So
interesting. Now, with that won't be a problem too much this for the NBA Finals. All the games start right about 9. And an NBA game is...
I was going to ask you,
yeah.
Because they're the West Coast team, are they going to change any of the final times or anything like that?
I don't think they do. I mean, the Lakers played in the finals for a bunch of years, and they still would start right at 6. So that doesn't usually change the start time for the finals games.
You're right.
Good point. Good question, though. Something to think about.
Final, though.
Oh, yeah. It'll be good. I mean, I don't think it's going to last very long, but I think the games we see are going to be good games. I see it going 6. Got the Warriors all the way in this. Now, I do too. I mean, look, I think the Cavs could win the series, but LeBron's going to have to come up with almost superhuman efforts, which I wouldn't rule out. Yes. But it would take a lot, because this is a lot of guys that are good. I ruled off like 7 guys that could come up big on a given night. This is a great team. Sure. The Warriors.
I agree with you.
Gonna be so good, so good. I love watching them play too. This was a win for the NBA. I mean, this is the kind of basketball that I think really can sell the sport. Passing, great defense, team play, great shooting. I mean, it's just beautiful basketball to watch.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I think like myself, I'm just I love basketball. I don't have a team where I'm a diehard. If you would have told a fan who doesn't have a dog in the fight before the playoffs start, or write down the 2 teams you'd like to watch in the finals, I think it would be these 2.
I like it. And let's see, if you talk about a team that really has ascended, this Warriors team really did a great job taking what was a good core, building upon it, and riding to the top. Now, I can tell from your voice you're really starting to get a little tired. Naturally, you would. Anybody would at 11:17 at night. So let me quickly ask you just for a moment about Tom Thibodeau and the Bulls. The Bulls fired Tom Thibodeau today from the organization. It was a respectful departure from Thibodeau's point of view. He had a very classy farewell statement, but it seems to me that the principal reason for the separation was that the ownership couldn't manage his personality, which seems odd because he was there for the players. From what I'm reading right now, I did not sense that he was great. He had a big rapport with the players, but it does seem like some of the players have his back for the most part. So that's neat to see.
Right.
I don't know. It's just funny. It seems like sometimes the owners have a different agenda than winning, and Thibodeau did what he could with a limited roster, and within that limited
they want control. The owners want control, man. If they want control, they want final say. And I'm guessing Thibodeau wasn't the type that would just roll over to whatever they wanted. He seemed like a guy who was hard nosed, a guy who knows what he wanted out of his players, and I guess the ownership and people around him. And I wasn't as locked in that situation as maybe you were following it, but I followed it closely, and I said something today like, wow, it's kind of strange that they would let a coach like that go. And I think Andy said something like, well, there was some friction. I've heard about the friction and stuff like that, but like you said, sometimes the owners have a different agenda than winning. So you have a guy who really did a really good job with your team. And if the players weren't responding to him and the change needed to be made, I get it. But if it was because they were butting heads, there should have been a way that maybe they can get around that and, try to, because Tibbs is a winning coach. It's the guy that I'm sure both fans didn't want to lose. And I think we'll see it next year with a different coach that, it's going to be a little different. I mean, from watching the Bulls, the Bulls are always a tough out. They always were hard-nosed. And I still believe that if LeBron James does not hit that game-winning shot and that series goes 3-1, all the momentum's on Chicago's side, there is a very good chance I think Cleveland loses that series. I mean, I think there'd be panic mode in Cleveland. I think the Bulls have all the momentum. I think if LeBron doesn't hit that shot, we might be talking about a totally different NBA Finals right now, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The Bulls defense was giving LeBron an insanely tough time.
Yeah.
He was so uncomfortable out there. you make a great point. It really could have turned that quickly. And who knows? I mean, at that point, what would have been left? It would have, let's say the Bulls won that series. They would have played Atlanta. They'd have had a chance against Atlanta.
They probably would have beat Atlanta.
Yeah. So we could have been seeing, that would have been something. You know, I'm going to just concede.
Then how do you fire Thibodeau? He brings your team who's never healthy. You bring them to the finals. How do you fire him?
Exactly.
It's crazy.
As it is, it's a little puzzling. I mean, we saw it coming, but on an empirical level, I'm like, what has he done wrong? What has he really done wrong? I mean, there's only so much you can work with, and even within that, they've had some pretty good players on the team. Jimmy Butler's really come of age, and he's good. Mike Francesa is right on that one. He's a good player, and Joakim Noah, when he's healthy, he's good. And Derek Rose had a clutch three-pointer to beat the Cavs on one of the games of the series at the buzzer.
Yep.
So they've got some good players, but that's it. I mean, Pau Gasol was having a good year too for a while. I don't know what happened there. Maybe he.
Yeah, that injury hurt them that series. The injury definitely hurt them.
There
that
it is.
Series. It definitely did it.
Yeah.
And I know we've heard, like you said, we've heard rumblings of Thibodeau leaving after this year, and it just. It just sucks that it had to happen like that. And I got to give you credit. I know we spoke, about the Warriors earlier in the maybe even little late to mid season, and you had said something like this team's the real deal. They're more than just a shooting team. And I always, I'm with the adage that you live by the three, you die by the three. Some days it's not going to go in. Those are the days you're going to lose. Very tough to win a series like that. But you're right. This team is a lot more than that. The more I got to watch them, the more they were on TV, I agree with you. You called it. You said that, they were a team that could defend. They were a team that moved the ball. And, the way that they can shoot it, like I said on the last podcast, it is very, very difficult for you to gain momentum against a team like that. You think you're just climbing up the hill, then bam, Curry hits a three and knocks you down a peg. I mean, it's tough. And they have a lot of good players. They have scorers. They have defenders. They got a very well-rounded team. And like you said, I think LeBron would have to go have a super heroic effort. Him, Kyrie, JR, all those guys are going to have to really play at the top of their game to win this series. I'm going to say Golden State in 6, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was shorter.
Yeah, same. I have it Golden State in 6. I think it could be a quicker series than that. And I wouldn't even be surprised if it was a 4-game series, but probably not likely. But I do think they'll go 6, no more. For that for that series, and it'll be the kind of game 6 where it seems like if you look at it just like casually, when it gets 6 games, it was a good series. It probably would have been a situation like, let's say they were up 3-1, and then they just lost game 5 and finished it in game 6.
Right.
It is 2-2-1-1-1 though.
It would be pretty cool if we got a game 7.
Yeah.
It would be pretty cool, but I know I don't think it's going to happen, but
right.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yep, we will. And we will see how the Yankees game continues in Oakland. We will take a look at that.
Runners at the corners with one away.
Oh,
runners at the corners.
There you go.
Out. Let's see if they can get that run in. Headley just singled up the middle on a hit and run. So Gardner's on third. He's at first. Let's see if they can get that run. I think Beltran's up. So I'll take one of Beltran's lazy pop. No, A-Rod's up actually.
Oh, wow.
They confuse me. They put like a new lineup out every other day. So yeah, A-Rod's up now. Hopefully he. It is crazy how wrong I was about A-Rod. I thought he would be floundering. I thought he'd be hurt and struggling. His first at bat, he rips a single through the infield. They said he's had his highest on base percentage and slugging percentage this year since 2009. I mean, that is crazy.
Wow.
I mean, I'm happy I was wrong. I mean, he's given the Yankees a huge boost. I was 100% wrong so far. I thought he'd be, a 230 hitter, floundering and not hitting for much power, but he's really given this team a boost. So hopefully he can stay healthy and keep it up.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I'm not that confident in that continuing through the year. An old guy might have a good month or a good couple months. Doing that all year is going to be quite a feat.
It's a marathon, man. It is a marathon.
Absolutely. That's part of what makes that's part of the game. It's the endurance of getting through the season. So we have him at the plate. I am on MLB Network watching this cut-in. They have a live looking on this game.
Oh, nice.
So we will watch this one together. and nothing to lose. If you can call us anybody else that's no one's on the hold, but other than yourself, Cap. But if anyone else wants to call in, 424-258-9251, and I will test my handling of prank callers once again. If you do decide
who was that? Do you know who that was?
It was nobody. It was no one in particular. So I thought for a moment it may have been Quickies, but I sniffed out his fake accent pretty quick.
Sound like him.
No, it ultimately it did not sound like him. So he was putting on some act, probably trying to lead up to some kind of a prank.
Come on, get that running.
Cut him off at the pass.
Come on, Brett. Come on, Guardy.
Let that roll.
Come on, Guardy. Atta boy. The way to get that run in now.
Oh, you're ahead of me. So you must be watching on TV or something. Or MLB Network's like way behind. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
MLB Network might have a delay.
They do that. They do that, though, yeah. They put about I don't know, 30, 60, maybe even a 90-second delay on there. And it's fine.
That was big. That was good. You got to get those runs in, man. When you got that runner sitting on third with less than 2 outs.
Sack fly
for that running. That's big. That's awesome.
Alex Rodriguez puts the Yankees up 3-0, so the game continues. And the Yankees doing a pretty good job on the A's, who haven't looked that good so far.
As bad as this AL East is, the Yankees really do have a shot to be in. I thought they'd be awful this year. They have a shot to be the mix all summer. I mean, I think there's some little things they could do to improve the team internally. They don't need to go out and get people. I think that they can go out and get, or they can bring up a guy like Ref Snyder maybe to help. They can give Perella some more at bats. They already brought up Jacob Lindgren to help in the pen. Now, I think later in the season, if they're in a pennant race, and I think I heard Joe Girardi almost allude to it today talking to Joe and Evan, they asked him, hey, do you think, Severino, could play in the majors this year? He goes, hey, when you're in a playoff race, anything could happen. So what I think could happen is what the Rays might have done with David Price. You bring a guy up, maybe you put Severino in the bullpen because you want to hope Tanaka could stay healthy and be a starter. As long as you have your 5 or 6 starters, Severino could come up and maybe be another bullpen arm, a guy that can give you, maybe 2 innings out of the pen, 2 innings of good ball out of the pen that could bridge the gap to a Lindgren, that could bridge the gap to a Miller, a Betances, because those other guys are no good. So I think there are some internal options to make this team better. And then, granted, at the All-Star break, if this team has a 2-game lead, if they're a game and a half out or 2 games out, they're right there. And at the trade deadline, they can go out and maybe get someone of not a crazy significance. I'm not asking for a Troy Tulowitzki. I'm not asking for anything like that. But go and get a piece that might be able to help you move, into a good place in the AL East. Kind of like they did last year, getting Martin Prado, something like that. A move like that to help. So we'll see what happens, Dave. I'm excited because I really do want to watch meaningful baseball in August, September. So I'm hoping that they can kind of stay in the race, kind of, tread water until Ellsbury comes back. That hurts. He was doing everything for this team, and hopefully he can come back within the next couple of weeks, and they keep their guys healthy and play some good baseball.
I like it, and again, I think it's a great opportunity for the Yankees. You already mentioned it. It's a down year for several of these teams. I don't even think the Orioles will be much of a factor. So this is their division. The Yankees might continue to be a factor. It's a good deal. It's a good deal.
Crazy to think about, right?
That's baseball, right?
It's baseball. What do you think about your Dodgers?
I still I guess there's 2 ways to look at it, but I think overall they're doing tremendously. They've fought a lot of injuries. I mean, guys are just not making the team. Puig hasn't even played yet. Jansen just got back about a week and a half ago. Kershaw was fighting it with his control early in the season. He got it together last week against the Braves, looking good in that start. But he's still doing okay. It's just that his ERA is not up to its usual, or I should say down to its usual standard. So there have been a lot of injury issues for the Dodgers, but they've been winning games anyway. The only blip was that Giants series, which, again, is inexplicable. They were swept in the series again, and they didn't score a run.
Right?
Yeah, they didn't score 1 run in that whole series. I don't get it.
I gotta beat the goddamn Giants, man.
That is one to not get. I don't know what happened there. Beats the heck out of me. So, not anything for me to. I mean, but overall, it's 2 series wins in a row, and or is that
They're
just
in first place, right, Dave?
I think at this point they're still in first place. Yeah, I mean it's changing every day. It can change from day to day, but right now they are. Yeah, now they should be in first place at this point. The Giants have continued to win games though. They haven't really leveled off yet, but they have the 1-game lead over the Giants, and it's this close because the Giants have 6 games on them in the home games. It's just nutty.
Crazy.
That's gotta come around. I got so upset after this.
I mean, the Giants, Dave, how do they do it? I mean, I was so down on them this year, losing Sandoval. I didn't think the rotation was that great. How do they do it every year? They're in the mix.
They are a well-managed team. They have great managing, and they get the most out of whoever's on the roster with Bruce Bochy. And a couple other things I will point to. You get some good... You still have 2 pretty dang good bats in that lineup. And one of them just came back last week, but it was Hunter Pence. The other guy is Buster Posey, and so together they are good for a lot of hits and some good power to boot. You were right about Madison Bumgarner. He had a very rough start, but the Giants look.
He's putting it together, though, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I believe so. It's the same thing as almost the same thing as Kershaw. These are guys that have been experienced through big games. They know how to perform at their best. Although, my friend Coach has said to me that Bumgarner doesn't necessarily have the expectation of being as on their game as Kershaw would be, because he never saw him as being like an unstoppable kind of an ace until the postseason last year. So, in other words, he felt like he got really hot at the right time. But overall, he's still a very
definitely did.
Oh my gosh! I mean, you couldn't believe it. But overall, he sees him as a pretty good pitcher, but not as good as Kershaw. If you go for the whole, if you stretch out like the entire year of starts. So, an interesting observation, and I think it's a fairly accurate one, because I remember watching Bumgarner and I said, "Oh, this guy's got some stuff," but I never felt like this guy's going to get like a 2 ERA every year at the same time. So I got somewhere in between. You know, it's just somewhere in between. But one other thing I would point to with the Giants, in addition to those 2 bats, I think their bullpen is still pretty good. Now, don't quote me on that. I haven't really been watching every game or anything, but I do think that they have had. Well, okay, maybe. Yeah, they are. The Giants seem to have their best offense on the road. They've been on the road. They've been scoring a lot of runs on the road as well. And wow, listen to this. I'm reading this from the San Francisco Gate. Ryan Vogelsong went 6 innings and allowed 1 run after a horrendous April. He is into picture.
He had a really bad April.
9.31 ERA in April.
Yeah,
that's as bad as it can get. You know, so but he's.
Who's their number 2, Dave? Who's their number 2?
Oh man, that is such a good question. I
remember we were doing the baseball preview. None of their pitchers really.
I really need to figure.
Really jumped out at me besides Bumgarner. You know.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, I mean, none of the pitchers really. So I was like, their rotation isn't great.
Right.
They lost one of the big hitters in Sandoval, and I'm thinking to myself, and this, because them, they're like an every other year team. So I'm like, all right, this could be the year they have a down year, but it looks like they're going to be trying to fight with you guys. I think eventually you guys will pull away. Later in the season, I think you guys do have more talent than them. And like you said, they beat you guys 6 games already. That's got to change. You're going to beat up on them a little bit. So, it should be interesting to see what happens in that division. But there's some surprise teams out there, man. I mean, the Twins, I didn't realize, but they're rolling, man. They're playing some really good baseball.
Well, I still would say, you don't want to get too excited about anything yet, but we're getting closer to that point where...
No, it's way too early.
Yeah.
Way too early.
No doubt.
Way
Let's...
too early. That's why I'm trying not to get my hopes up about the Yankees being in it late, because I know that, a couple injuries here, but I mean, they just lost 10 of 11 games.
Yeah.
I mean, if they were in a division that had, any type of, dominant team, they'd be, 7 or 8 games out right now. But,
right.
Who knows, Dave? I mean, we'll see what happens with our division, but yeah, it's way too early to. I don't even really look at standings too much until let's say end of June, July. I would say around. I'll start looking at standings, see where teams are at and how they're playing. That sounds about right, I would think.
Yeah, it sounds good to me too. I think I'm going to stand by my point about the bullpen. The bullpen stats are tremendous so far. Yeah, you even got George Contos with a 2 ERA, which is a damn miracle for him.
Really?
He sucks, and he's getting a 2 ERA. So they are off to a good start, to say the least. You've got Casilla, who is now the closer. You may have remember Romo was a closer at one point, but Casilla's got a great fastball, so he's been promoted to that role, and he's doing a pretty good job so far. He has 14 saves in the early season. Pretty good, because I think...
It's great.
What would most guys get? Like 40, 50 saves in a year? Something like that. But it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's Javier Lopez is... There's an asterisk next to him, so I'm not sure if he's... Oh, he's a lefty. Okay. And so, yeah, most of the same guys are still in it. Machi, Romo, Lopez, and Affeldt. Kind of old now, but maybe he's...
Right.
He
is.
So... yeah, I like that bullpen. It seems to be doing the job. Now, to answer your question...
What's Panic doing, Dave?
Panic, a great question. To answer your previous question, Hudson is the second starter officially, but
okay.
It seems like you've got Heston and Lincecum and Ryan Vogelsong, who we just spoke of, at the bottom of the rotation. Definitely not a rotation anyone's scared of. But I think
No, not at all.
But I think the bullpen makes up for it. But more importantly, the offense is really coming on. It is hot. It is just hot. It is scoring all sorts of runs right now. And it certainly did a lot of that against the Dodgers last weekend. So, Joe Panic, that would be the second baseman for the Giants. He is a left-handed hitting batter. And this year, in 45 games, he's hitting .297 with a .366 on base percentage. Yeah, no, he's having a good start to the season.
Good. He's having a good.
Pretty good.
I remember I looked at him. I was doing FanDuel or something. I looked at him early in the year, and I think he started off slow, but he must be hitting the ball. I think he had a home run the other night I saw. So that's good. I thought, watching him in the playoffs, I thought he was a kid that had potential for sure.
Love it. I love it. Good. That's a good thing. Good times. Let's check in on that on the Yankee game again. We are into...
It's 3-1. 3-1. CC gave up a 2-out solo homer. But, see, that I can live with. CC needs to stay away from the big innings, from the walking guys, from the putting guys on base. If he gives up a 2-out solo home run, those I can live with. But, it was the killers for him has been, putting people on and those big innings. And right now, what he's doing right now, I'd take it any day of the week. Top of the sixth inning, giving up one run. So... hopefully he can get through the next 2-3 innings and, hand it over to, our big two and, take this one home. I mean, McCann just got his third hit of the game. So, Dave, it's crazy. I was killing McCann today. I'm like, look at his splits. Hitting 188 on the road. He doesn't have a home run on the road. What's he do? First at bat, homer. Next at bat, gets a hit. Now he doubles. Oh, Beltran ropes one to center. Go. Oh, hit it to the wall.
Oh.
Damn. But yeah, I mean, McCann's 3 for 3 today on the road, so that's definitely good. If they can get him going, get his bat, hot, that'll be big with Ellsbury out.
Good deal. That's so the lineup has some hot spots too. The Yankees you're getting it rolling. Now, what do you make of the rotation right now? I mean, CC, and then
hit or
you
miss. It's hit or miss. I mean. Some nights you got CC, like CC pitching in Oakland. I'm a lot more confident than CC pitching in Yankee Stadium. There's, Teixeira made a catch before in foul territory that would have hit the dugout in Yankee Stadium. So I mean, there's a lot of it's a big field. I think CC's comfortable pitching there. As far as now the way he's a pitcher now, he's able to give up some fly balls, and I think that he's hit or miss. I mean, if you look at his numbers, he's had some horrendous starts, but he's also had a handful of starts that really weren't that bad. I mean, you can't really look at the win-loss stat. I mean, the Yankees' rotation problem is they don't give the team much length.
Right.
Adam Warren's actually the last 3 starts by Adam Warren has been pretty good. Those are starts I take from him. Pineda is supposed to be our hold on one second.
You're number 1, right?
Oh, Stephen Jones was into a double play. Yeah, he's our number 1. Granted, he had an outing against Texas that really wasn't that good, but those kind of things happen. I mean, look at Matt Harvey. He had an outing where he gave up 7 runs. I mean, you're going to have outings like that. But,
right.
I'm confident in Pineda being our number 1. As far as the other guys go, Dave, I think it's a lot of hit and miss. some nights will be good, some nights will be bad. It's just the way the rotation is. I don't think the consistency is going to be there. It's just I think that goes for every rotation in the AL East right now. There's no real rotation that stands out. I mean, if you want to, the Rays probably have the best rotation in everybody in our division. And I think the Yankees are probably right behind them once, Tanaka's actually going to come back next week to pitch in Seattle. And the cool thing is if he ends up pitching on a Tuesday, I think the game I'm going to Sunday, I'll be able to see him pitch. So I'm hoping that's the case. So I think I counted it right when I was at work today, but I think that's the case. But, yeah, I mean, as far as, rotations go in our division, the Yankees got to be right behind the Rays, I would think. I mean, the Red Sox rotation isn't that great. The Orioles rotation isn't that great. The Blue Jays rotation isn't great. So I don't think the Yankees would probably have to be with a guy like Pineda and Tanaka, would have to be right behind the Rays. I mean, so
how
yeah, man. I mean, that's where we stand.
I gotcha. Tanaka, it keeps entering my mind because we just don't know how healthy he's going to be coming back this time around. Is it going to happen
I'm
again?
I'm going to be honest with you, Dave. I'm not. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not expecting him to last between now and September and not have any more DL stints. I mean, for Girardi to say once Tanaka flies to Oakland, he's going to have a heart-to-heart with him and tell him, hey, you need to tell me if anything bothers you. I mean, it just doesn't bode well. You and I have talked about it. I've called Joe and Evan about it. I've called Mike about it. I just think that this is the worst-case scenario for the Yankees. Is him, going up and down from rehab start to DL to made. I think if he can stay healthy between now and September, they're going to waste a year and a half of him, and they're going to waste another year of him if he does get the surgery. For 3.5 years on his contract, it's going to be a waste of baseball for a kid that came in at 25 years old and, was a top of the rotation guy. I mean, it would be a tough blow. And I agree with you. I don't have much faith in him coming up here and staying healthy. I think there'll be another issue, whether it be sooner than later. I think there will be another issue this year, and my take on it. I think eventually he's going to end up having to get the surgery, and whether it be this year, next year, I think it's going to be something that's going to get done, and we're all going to scream and yell that they should have done it before. But hey, both you and I have stood, in the same. We've had the same opinion on this for the past, year or so. So.
Yeah, it seems like common sense, but again, I don't know. Do they think Yankees think this is worth it? I think is the question that you ask. Apparently, they think it is, and so it's a frustrating situation. I just feel like what's going to happen. Why go on? But they are, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not like he's on a DL for a quad issue right now. I mean, he had issue in his forearm, and usually you have anything with your forearm or your elbow that is an alarm that there could be a precursor to Tommy John. He already has a tear in his elbow. I mean, it'd be different. If he hurt his hamstring or his quad, I wouldn't be as nervous or as crazy. But he was talking about his forearm being hurt, and it's like, come on, man. I mean, it just seems like all signs are pointing to him having to get it, and the Yankees are trying to trying to avoid it, as much as they can. I understand, they want the kid on the mound, but if he's going to be on the mound and not be effective, or like I said, when he came up and said, "Hey, I'm not going to throw hard anymore," that really bothered me because he's a 26-year-old kid who should be in his prime, who should be able to throw hard. I'm watching, 29-year-old Max Scherzer last night throwing 96, 97 miles an hour in the 6th, 7th inning. I mean, Tanaka should be able to throw hard, and I know he's not, pitching at 100%, and I want him to pitch at 100%. I want him to have a good rest of his contract. So hopefully, they get this shit right. And, if he stays healthy, great. And if he has to get the surgery, and we all knew it would happen, God hope he makes a full recovery and comes back strong.
You're going to want to be potted then, right? Big time potted. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so a couple other points I want to make kind of a couple of other points of miscellany from sports I'd like to make. And perhaps you can entertain some of these. Steph Curry shouting to the crowd, "Why not us?" after the game. Guys, you had the 1 seed the whole year. You're not an underdog. Come on now. Why not us?
You're the best record. You're the best team in the NBA the whole year.
Just calm down, Steph. I love you, man, but calm down. Easy. Just too much. That was funny.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It should be us. We're confident it should be us. That's what he should be saying.
Absolutely. Of course it should be you. Why not us? It sounds like you guys are the 8th seed. You guys were the 1 seed the whole season.
They're the best record in the NBA since, Halloween. Come on.
They were undefeated at home from, January 16th all the way until the Memphis Grizzlies won that game in the semis. So, they can, I don't think people have them under the radar. They think they're fine.
Hey, how tough do you think that was for Mark Jackson yesterday?
An interesting point. I don't know. I mean, that's a great observation. Now, I saw Draymond. Was it Draymond Green? I think it was Draymond Green who went over to give him high five after the game, and that was an emotional moment. And definitely. It's two things. It's tough, but it could be vindication too. But certainly, he's got to be feeling something. No, that's his team.
Yeah, I think it's bittersweet.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think it's bittersweet because that is his team. I mean, it's crazy how deep they are. I said it today.
Yep.
David Lee averaged 18 and 9 last year. They didn't even get off the bench. I mean, they're so deep, and that is pretty much his team. But I mean, it's got to be bittersweet. I mean, I'm sure he's really close to still some of those guys. Saw Green go over to him. I know Steph Curry always spoke very highly of him, as did Klay Thompson. So I'm sure, as he was sitting there, he was like, wow, I was coaching in these games last year, and now I'm going to be calling the finals games. I'm sure it's weird, and I'm sure he's happy for some of the guys. So I don't know.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. I think bittersweet is an accurate depiction because I feel there's a little bit of both happiness and sadness together. He's happy to see his guys make the finals, and I think they're still pretty close to each other. That's one thing I sensed. I felt, the Draymond Green handshake sealed it for me. I think these guys still had good, they still were on good terms with Mark Jackson. Obviously, the rift was primarily between him and the ownership group, and it was for and they had a case too. Mark Jackson was really trying to wave his big stick, so to speak. So, but nonetheless, he put them in the spot. So, to not include him in the credit for making the finals would be a bad service to him, I think. And I think many people have made that point that he really got them started, and Steve Kerr finished the deal. And I think together they really put them in a very good spot. So. It'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to hearing his commentary throughout the series more than usual because he will have a personal connection to this team. And I remember when the playoffs started, he was talking about that as well. How, this is the team I had last year. Just kind of here they are. You just never know.
Yeah, it's very, very weird. Very weird from him, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I can only imagine.
Very sweet.
A little bit of that, yeah.
What do you think about Steph Curry's daughter? She cracked.
That's great. That's great. I'm glad you mentioned that because that was my next question. I swear to God, that was my next question. I know a lot of people are going to come out on both sides of this. I think it's fine. I've seen.
I love it.
I like it too. The daughter daughters have made press conferences in every sport. I mean, the NHL have had guys bring their daughters to the press conference all the time. So I don't think people need to take that too seriously.
No, she's got personality, man. She's funny.
True story.
She was hide behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And she was singing that Drake song. She's a funny girl, man. Fuck. Oh, the Yankees are gonna blow this, Dave. I just know it. Lead-off double.
For Oakland, you mean?
Good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it. This bends over his lead-off double.
Wow.
You always want to get the first out of the inning out of the way, especially when CC's on the mound.
Right.
It's rough.
I got you there. Yeah, I was in on it. That was a fun moment. She's an adorable kid. I agree with you. Great personality.
She is.
Yeah, that was a good time. So, any other things you had on your mind? Just sort of like random questions. So, anything else you were wondering yourself?
I'm really interested to see how the Cavs guard Steph Curry. I mean, he really is. I don't want to say unguardable, but he's a guy that I think Kawhi Leonard did a pretty decent job on him. But I don't know, man. It's hard to guard Steph Curry. It's very, very, very difficult to guard. I mean, when Leonard played him, I don't know what the numbers are. I just remember watching one of the games. I thought he did a pretty good job. But who guarded him on the Clippers?
I think you're thinking about J.J. Redick, right?
No.
Are you talking about Curry?
Who did the Warriors play the series before the Rockets?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about who, like, team-wise. They played the Memphis Grizzlies in the previous round. Yeah.
Memphis.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I think I'm thinking about the regular season, but yeah, I'm wondering how the Cavs are going to guard him. Who they're going to put on? I'm guessing it's going to be Shumpert.
It's a great question.
But Buddy Mom was like, oh, maybe they'll put LeBron on him late. I don't know about. I mean, maybe, but
it might work.
It'd be interesting to
Great
see
defender.
the way that the Cavs guard. Yeah. And Dave, remember? I don't know. I think we talked about this in the beginning of the basketball season. How I was very high on Tristan Thompson going into this year. I mean, he's a kid who I thought could average a double-double going into this year, and he really is, had a really good playoff, and he had, with the absence of Love and the absence of Varejao, those three, if all three of those guys are healthy, nobody would rebound with the Cavs. I mean, they would own the board. But it's going to be really interesting to see how they defend this Warrior team, because it just seems like, whatever a team tries to do, the Warriors have an answer for it. All right, you want to do this? All right, we'll do that. You want to do this?
Yep.
We'll do that. It's like they're like a well-oiled machine, man. They have everything. If the Cavs can steal Game 1 in Golden State, we got some juice.
Could be, maybe. I mean, I can see it again. Game 1 would be the time to pounce.
Plus Irving isn't 100% either.
Yeah.
Kyrie's been
good point.
Probably playing at 40, 50%.
Mm-hmm.
The whole playoffs. I mean, he actually set out 2 games. So, I mean, the rest will hopefully help him, because without him being near healthy or playing effectively, they don't got a shot. He needs to be big. He's one of their superstars. They need him.
He needs to be on.
He's a guy that can go out and score 40.
Yeah, no doubt. That great points, all. You said it's very interesting. You posture. How are the Cavs going to defend the Warriors? Where would they focus their defense? I don't know. Right. I think they would try to stop Curry. That would probably be part one. You already mentioned that. Maybe if you try to double Curry all the time, that could be the start of a good defense. I think you do I think what was working was the Memphis Grizzlies defensive game plan before Conley got hurt, before Tony Allen got hurt. Before those two guys got hurt, they were just forcing them into three-point shots and then defending them closely. That worked.
Right.
But it only works when everybody's healthy and you've got the depth to go for it. That's a team effort, though. That's like,
hey man, I thought the Grizzlies had a real good shot to beat them after that game in Memphis where they beat them by a lot. And I was like, oh my God, the Memphis could really go toe to toe with these guys, and then to give the Warriors credit, they flipped the switch and the series was over.
And that switch was part of that switch was forcing Bogut and and Harrison Barnes into the paint. Putting those two in there to keep Randall from just having his way was a big part of it. But the other part of it was injuries. I think the injuries played a big role in the Memphis Grizzlies coming up short because they looked completely gassed. Completely gassed by Game 6.
Tony Allen had ended up playing late in the series, right?
Exactly. Like he missed the second half. What was it, Game 5? He missed the second half, and that was a huge blow because those guys were the heart of that perimeter defense, which was working so well for them in Games 1 and 2. So, really,
I really like that team.
Yeah. Well, the only thing is they don't really have they seem. I don't know what they're going to bring offensively, though. They don't have the same level of passing ability as the Golden State Warriors do, but they do a pretty good job. It's just that they needed
The thing was their big men could pass. Zach Randolph and Marcus
Decent
Cole
point.
could pass.
Yeah.
And Mike Conley could pass. So they have their bigs can pass. They have a guard that can pass. But yeah, I mean the Warriors they play team ball to a T, man. They move the ball. They get guys open. I mean. It's crazy when, they're running on, a broken floor and, the guy you'd want to look for is Steph Curry, and he'll be sitting there wide open for a three, and they'll find him and they'll bang it down. And shooting a three is like them shooting a layup. I mean, it is absolutely incredible watching that kid play, man.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the
It's
stuff he
special.
does is just like...
I've never really come to the conclusion. It's only 4 years into his career, and I've already come to the conclusion that he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. That's a special player.
Let me ask you this, Dave. You're a little older than me. I was young. I was, I saw Reggie Miller play obviously a lot, but I don't know if I really saw him in his prime. I was always a big Jordan guy, and now back then, if they weren't on NBA and NBC, I wouldn't see them. But now with like NBA TV and everything, it would have been a different story. So, did you get to see Reggie? Do you think Stephen Curry is going to be a better player than Reggie Miller? Better shooter than Reggie Miller?
Better shooter. And, his dad, Del Curry, was a fantastic shooter as well. The way it's going, I think so. Reggie Miller was really one of a kind, though. He was special. Like, he was really, really good. Quick release, but Curry has the same quick release. So it's very interesting. I see him being on par with Reggie Miller, absolutely. And one key difference, his passing ability exceeds that of Miller. Not that Miller wasn't a good passer, but he's a point guard, so he was really good.
Curry is a phenomenal passer and a phenomenal ball handler.
Yep.
Reggie can handle like Curry. Curry has probably top two. Him and Kyrie, I think, are the two best ball handlers in the league.
Yeah, it's definitely special, and the size advantage that Klay Thompson
90
has
seconds
on other guards. He is a 2-guard, and he is presenting some serious length disadvantages to others who defend him. And when he goes off, man, that is a treat. Remember the game where he had what was it like?
Yes.
How many points did he have in the fourth quarter?
In one quarter.
Yeah.
34, 37. I remember that.
30 points in the fourth quarter in a game in the regular season.
Incredible.
That was amazing. That was
60
really
seconds.
We have an update from the Yankee game.
God damn it!
Oh boy.
Fucking shit. Tie game. Gave up a 2-run home run with 2 fucking outs.
Ooh.
God.
I think this is a convenient time to.
Sorry, damn.
Man, that stinks.
Oh, see, this is why I can't sleep during these games. Now I'm fucking sweating. Jesus.
It's bottom of the 5th, 2 outs.
And he was rolling too. He gave up the double, got a fly ball. The guy tagged up and went to third. Got a big strikeout, and then gave up a 2-run homer. That's killer. That's fucking killer.
That's the 6th inning. Sorry, not the 5th. So 6th inning, 3-3 tie. And in a moment,
10 seconds.
It will go to the 7th inning. Blog Talk Radio will be leaving you now. Good night for you all. We'll see you guys next week. And for those of you on YouTube, we will hang on for just another moment or two. But to close us out tonight, I wanted to get your closing thoughts. Yeah, so I think that he's absolutely on par with Reggie Miller. Steph Curry is, and I think when it's all said and done, people are going to remember him even more than Reggie Miller. this is just the beginning. If he doesn't get hurt or anything else serious happens to his career, he's going to put up some...
He's only 27 years old.
That's
and
amazing.
He's going to win a ring this year, which Reggie never did.
Yeah. He's 4 games away.
He won an MVP already.
4 wins away from winning a title. And if he can beat LeBron...
He has an MVP under his belt.
Wow. Do you think he deserved the MVP? I don't know. I mean, I think he deserved it, but I do agree with Tom and Andy that the case was made that the Rockets depended on James Harden more than the Warriors depended.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with them. You know me, I'm not a James Harden guy, but watching them and seeing that, Dwight Howard was hurt a lot of the year, and even when he did play, I mean, he just... Dwight Howard's he rebounds, he'll get you 13, 14 rebounds. He has no offensive game. And it just seems like, he just seems like he doesn't care. I mean, I know that's probably not the case, but it just is like, I just can't put my finger on it. There's just something missing there, which it shouldn't be with a guy with his athletic ability, his height, and his size. I mean, it shouldn't be that way, but I agree, and I watch, guys like Trevor Ariza is a nice player. He's nothing great. I mean, Jason Terry is how old, and he was like probably the second best Rocket on the floor last night. I mean, James Harden carried that team on his shoulders this year. So I agree with Tom and Andy. They definitely relied on Harden more than the Warriors. Well, shouldn't say that, but they definitely relied on Harden a lot.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And when Harden did not come through for him, it was bad, and we saw that last night. 13 turnovers.
Yeah.
And what was that? The shooting total in that game was bad. It was pretty bad.
It was like 2 for 11 or something.
Yeah, it was not. It was something like that. Because I had the box score just in the last hour. I seem to have lost it, but it was NBA Warriors box score.
Right, he had a rough night. It
was like 4 for 12. Yeah, like 4 for 20 or something. It was pretty. It was whatever it was. It was bad. It was just plain bad. I think I have it here. Box score. Let's see if I can stop this video from playing. I'm always fighting these battles with my computer.
It's gonna be one of those nights, Dave, where I stay up until 1:30 in the fucking morning.
Really?
You lose a heartbreaker. I'm telling you, Dave, I feel it in my bones.
That
it's gonna be one of those nights where I drag myself to work tomorrow. I already don't feel great. I didn't go to the gym today. I think I'm coming down with something.
Yep.
I'm going to drag myself to work tomorrow in a bad fucking mood. But I stayed up to watch these guys lose in a heartbreaking fashion. I feel it. I should just go to sleep now. I know it's going to happen.
You may benefit from that, but you were actually right on with the James Harden shooting percentage. 2 for 11 last night. 2 for 11.
Was he 2 for 11?
Bad.
It's crazy, man. Bad. And the thing with him is he had that look LeBron had when they played the Mavs, how he wasn't attacking, he was so passive.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Harden had last night. He wasn't attacking. Even Mark Jackson was saying, it's like, it was your playoff life is on the line. You go out there and you get the ball and you lead, you go drive, you attack. And he wasn't doing it.
Yep.
So, I don't know. He's a 25-year-old kid. He had a rough night.
Yeah, but you know what? That's not an excuse. That is not an excuse. Russell Westbrook might even be younger than him, and he has.
I'm not saying an excuse. I'm saying he just had one of those. He's had a rough night. It's
right.
Something all players go through. He had a rough night.
Yeah, everybody did. That's true too. Yeah, even the greatest players ever have had those games.
You're right. It's not age is an excuse. It's not. He should have tried to put the team on his back. I agree with you.
Yeah, but that's the thing that bothers me. Not so much the fact that he had a bad night, but the passiveness of players like him and Dwight Howard. And there's just too much of that in the NBA today. I was just like, go out and play. Like, Russell Westbrook might be a chucker, but he goes out and he gives it. He brings it.
Yeah.
That's where I have a lot of respect for Westbrook. If he goes down swinging. This is the equivalent of a baseball player. And we get plenty of that in baseball too, which is annoying, where they just take a strike.
Yeah.
Just go down swinging. You can't win if you don't swing.
I'm with you, Dave. When you have guys like Trevor Ariza and Jason Terry taking all your big shots with Howard and Harden in the lineup, it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, those are the two guys. I mean, they don't even feature Howard in the post. They don't. isolate him in the post and make any post moves. All of his points seem like they're on putbacks or alley-oop dunks or, making, half of his free throws. I mean, it's just, it's crazy. And then, like you said, James Harden was very passive last night. Like, those should have been the two that should have been the most aggressive, should have put the team on their back and said, follow me. Let's try and get this done. But they didn't.
They didn't, and they will do that in some games, but they did not last night. And Game 2 is a good example of one where he did. And so you do give, I give Harden a lot of credit. He came up huge in Game 2, but still blew the game because he got just too excited and lost the ball. That was something else.
Yeah, that was big too. I forgot about that. But you know what? I give credit to Curry and Thompson. They got up in his face, they forced him one way, and then boom, knocked the ball away. That was it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's the unsung hero of that team is the defense. Their defense is good from from a lot of guys, and Curry and Thompson are no exception to that. So this has been a very fun analysis. Captain, thank you very much for coming on the program and chatting with me tonight. I appreciate the spontaneous appearance. We will get back into it with our NBA Finals Games 1 and 2 recap coming up next week, and we will chat about the NHL's Stanley Cup Final and what happened in those Game 7. So, till then, Cap, enjoy the rest of this game with the Yankees and the Athletics. I appreciate your time. Have a good night. Take it easy, fella.
Thank you, Dave. I enjoyed the being on a spontaneous pod, but I want you to think of me when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and the Yankees lose on a walk-off in the 11th, all right?
I will have it in my brain. I will have it.
Thanks.
I will have it chiseled into my brain, my friend. I will be thinking of you every time I see you.
Have a good night.
Like you bet, my friend. Have a good night. Have a good night, Cap. All right.
Thanks, man.
You got it, bud. Gary and Piscataway. That's our program tonight. Thanks to those who called, even the prankers. I still enjoy the thrill of live radio, and make no mistake, it's been a good time. And we will get some planned guests on next week's program. Thank you very much for your time tonight. I appreciate it. What a moment for the Warriors in the NBA Finals, against the Cavaliers. We are going to have a big show, and it could be a historic couple weeks for the Bay Area. Tune in for all of that and the NHL Game 7's. So we'll tell you about how those are going and how the Game 7's went. But until then, have a good weekend. We'll see you next time.